Jay White could be heading to AEW. I know it's a very strange way to start this video, but he could also be headed to WWE, and I, for one, think that is damn exciting. Because that dude is far better than people realize, and when he is able to perform on the biggest stage, he's gonna absolutely smash it. And just when these rumors were starting to build, all of a sudden the Wrestling Observer newsletter said, well, that is one thing, and maybe there is interest there, but when it comes to World Wrestling Entertainment, there's another free agent who's even bigger, and Triple H wants him. Ooh da lally. Later that day, Fightful then announced that they believed that it's Kenny Omega, and the internet just broke down. So here's the thing, WWE should probably do this, and they should push him to the moon. Why? Here's why. Now let's make one thing clear. I hope that Kenny Omega stays in AEW. I also hope that Kenny Omega goes to WWE. It all depends on what he wants and what makes him feel warm and fuzzy in his tum-tum. Do not forget, he is a human being, he is an individual, he is a real person, and whatever his heart says he should do is what he should go and do. And if you criticize him for that, you a little bit weird. I also hope that all wrestlers keep jumping around like this because it's so damn important when it comes to wrestling. And also, when we put our nerd camps on, it is so damn exciting. Because don't pretend when you hear that wrestler A is going to go to AEW or wrestler B is going to go to WWE, you don't get all excited down in your tootsie toes, because you do. It's one of the reasons why the Attitude Era was so awesome, because you just never knew. I mean, if you need more proof of this, we saw the reaction when it came out that Cody Rhodes may be returning to WWE, because that was on the same day as people said that Stone Cold Steve Austin was probably gonna wrestle at WrestleMania, and the American Nightmare news was more popular, and I still ain't over that today. It's why Omega would have the same kind of impact, because it's basically the same story. Without Kenneth, I'm not sure that AEW even stands today, because along with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Tony Khan and Chris Jericho and a whole heap of other people, if they didn't all come together at the right time to make this explosion, well, who knows what kind of world we'd be living in. Omega himself is also a legend. I know that some people just seem to have a problem with him, and I don't really understand why, but all of his peers consider him one of the best. And what usually happens in this crazy thing called life is that if your work colleagues are all looking at you going, I tell you, he is absolutely faboo, usually that translates to a wider audience. So basically they know what he's capable of, which is why back in 2018, when he was a free agent again, Triple H tried to sign him. I mean, just go and Google it. You will find these news stories, and you will find some tidbits where apparently, maybe we don't know for sure, Trips even said to Ken, well look, if you do come in, I will give you a little bit of creative freedom. And nobody gets that, and while they probably would have reneged on it in around about 6 weeks, the fact that it was on the table to begin with is crazy. This was also during a time where Vince McMahon was absolutely still the head honcho. He didn't know who Kenny Omega was, because again, if you do go and do your research, I'm not sure that Vince actually watched anything that didn't have the letters WWE on top of it. The game was still told to go out there and do everything he could though, because once again, I bet all the powers that be were jumping around McMahon going, well, you gotta get Omega, you gotta get Omega. Oh my gosh, have you heard about Kenny Omega? As we know, this didn't happen, and Kenny did go on to create something amazing, which brings us to 2023, because that's right, if we go out there right now, apparently, and again, it's all rumors and speculation, Kenny Omega at the moment is technically a free agent, or he's about to be one, in the sense that his AEW deal and contract is about to expire, and as of words coming out of my mouth, as far as we know, he hasn't signed another one. As soon as WWE would have found out about this, of course they're going to send feelers out there. It's going to happen from both sides. And also, they know the message that this would send. For starters, it would continue this perception that at the moment AEW isn't as hot as it was. And we do have to hold our hands up and say right now, when you do look at the television numbers, that is the case, although I'm damn sure they will get back there. But if all of a sudden, one of their biggest stars also goes to WWE, there will be some fans who go, well, that's it for me. That must be the big time. WWE has also managed to find a bunch of momentum during this period. And again, let's go back to the American Nightmare. He is about to main event WrestleMania, and people have noticed this. Cody also had an all-time return at last year's Granddaddy of them all, and is about to achieve all of his dreams, or at least his wrestling dreams. And while I'm sure Kenny Omega's hopes are completely different from Cody Rhodes, he still would have grown up watching WWE. And if you don't think every single wrestler, at least somewhere in their being, would love to be a part of something like WrestleMania, then I just think we're kidding ourselves. Even we as fans would love to do something, even just walk out as one of John Cena's entrance puppets. It's one of those things that you'll never forget, and when you're on your deathbed, we're getting morbid here, you can go, oh my gosh, I performed at WrestleMania. And from a management perspective too, come on, because right now, as we keep talking about, Rhodes is an on-fire babyface, they also have Sami Zayn. So if you could bring Omega in and make sure he gets to that level, which he would, and we'll talk about it in just 1 second, you could have 3 top-tier guys. And because I'm convinced that in 2023, Roman Reigns is probably going to be more part-time than he already is part-time right now, that is just going to steer the ship for years. I mean, what else could you possibly want? It also allows you to craft more storylines like the Bloodline angle, which has been a tremendous success. When we get right down to it, Kenny is one of the best wrestlers in the world. You can knock on my door and say, Simon, I don't agree, which is perfectly cool, but you will never change my mind. And if I had some kind of Wrestling Hall of Fame that nobody would care about apart from my mum, I would put Omega in it right now. He also does bring a specific audience with him who have been watching him since the DDT days. So all of a sudden, you see this checkbox list, and no matter what promotion you are running, you should want someone like Ken in your team. Also, from a geek perspective, I want to see Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. Hell, I want to see Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, because then I can look around the place and go, Kansas, we ain't in Toto anymore. I mean, I wouldn't even bother ever going on the internet again if that happens, because it will be broken forever. And I know some people will be going, well, he's not that big of a mainstream star. Well, 1, WWE would change that. And 2, from a wrestling perspective, the only thing bigger than this would be Roman Reigns going to AEW, because Ken is right up here. And sure, look, the Young Bucks are also in this category, but they're a tag team, so that does make them a little bit different. And then there's Jon Moxley. But just go and ask him if he wants to go back to WWE, and he will say no. With the right build as well, you can just copy exactly what we did do with Cody Rhodes, and straight away people are going to be intrigued because you put him in a feud with someone like Seth Rollins, and actually it could be Seth Rollins, and all of a sudden your brain is going to explode because you'll be like, wait, we're getting Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins? Where the hell are we? I mean, you could also plan in his WrestleMania 40 match right now, which means you give him an entire year to establish himself to the WWE Universe, in case some people don't know who he is. And do you not think Kenny wouldn't be able to win them over? Of course he would be. He's done it all over the world, and within about 12 months, he would be absolutely massive. And of course, whether or not this actually does go down all depends on what Omega wants to do. And there is the big caveat in the sense that he probably wouldn't be able to work New Japan anymore. And my word, does he love that place. Because of course, they are working closely with AEW, and I don't think WWE has any kind of relationship with them. And only a few months ago, we had that amazing Omega versus Will Ospreay match at Wrestle Kingdom. And apparently the plan is to do 2 more, so you'd have to give that up as well. And that actually would be a massive negative. If that was only the first grapple, what the hell are they going to do down the line? I mean, even if WWE could come to some kind of a deal with NJPW, those matches were so brutal, I don't think they'd let Kenny Omega do it, because they don't want one of their new signees getting injured in somebody else's ring. And really, this is why we can't lose as fans, because it's so cool seeing a wrestler go from promotion to promotion to promotion. And if I see him in WWE, all of a sudden I get a bunch of dream matches. And if he stays in AEW, he'll continue to smash it in his trios. And when he does get back to singles action, he'll smash it there as well. Because again, I just want to make it very clear, ever since I started watching the man, I have never seen him put a foot wrong. I mean it. Do not forget as well that having this kind of environment does mean the wrestlers are being paid more money than ever, and that is massively important, but also, all of this could be gibberish. I mean, maybe the rumors are about a completely different free agent, but when I think about it, I have no idea who that could be. I mean, there's Mercedes Moné or the former Sasha Banks, but I think that story would take a different path, and then I suppose Ryback is out there. I don't want it to be Ryback. It does feel like we'll know soon enough, because if you do want someone of this caliber, it makes sense to get them in at this period of the year, because you do have WrestleMania around the corner. And just to, double down on this, let's just do exactly what we did do with Cody Rhodes, minus that 8-month injury with the pec tear. That wasn't good at all. And do you want to know the best bit too? That Cody news broke on the 14th of February 2022, which is Valentine's Day. I love you all. And this one only broke a few days later, but in 2023. So if you are into like voodoo and magic and fate, well, you can shrug your shoulders but I would certainly keep an eye on it. And who knows, maybe you get the big debut at Mania, the huge match, and then we get to go through another 12 months with Cody Rhodes being the WWE Unified Champion and Kenny Omega being his top challenger. And that makes my eyes go funny, because I wouldn't quite believe it. All I do know is that when this did break, I absolutely lost it because I just enjoy the fact that we can't get through a 24-hour period without some sports entertainment craziness kicking off. And can you imagine AEW without Omega 2? I kind of can and I kind of can't, but also that's what the comments are for, so why don't you leave your thoughts down there right now. Also, please do make sure you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click one of the videos floating around the screen right now, because it will make you feel better. And you can come follow us on social media at WhatCultureWWE and Simon316. And if you want to keep abreast of all this wrestling news, go to WhatCulture.com, and that's what we do. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching me as always. And as I always say when I do these kind of videos, do you know what I love more than anything else? Professional wrestling. The name above the door is secondary, because whether it's WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, I don't care. Just hook it to my veins and make sure I'm having a good time. Also, Goofy Wrestling for life. Kenny Omega gets that too, so I bet he'd do some real stupid things. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I will see you soon.